Some men say power is about money. But when you hold the keys to someone else's roof, you realize it's much more than that. And sometimes, the line between helping and wanting gets dangerously thin. A special note to my subscribers. I just want to take a moment to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you who have subscribed, supported, and stayed with me through every story, twist, and emotional storm. Your presence means more than views, it's encouragement, fuel, and proof that stories still matter. Whether you're here for the tension, the drama, the heartbreak, or just the raw truth, I see you. I appreciate you. To the gifters, commenters, and loyal fans, you make this possible. Thank you for riding this journey with me. More stories are coming, deeper, bolder, and even more unforgettable. Stay with me. Let's proceed with. I don't remember the exact moment I started seeing her differently. Maybe it was when I caught her sitting on the stairwell, legs folded, hoodie up, scrolling through her phone like she was trying to escape her own reality. Or maybe it was the third notice I left on her door. I knew she had no job. I knew the look of quiet panic behind her smile. I used to live on the edge too. I know that hustle. But what made me pause with Sierra James wasn't just pity. It was curiosity. Then it became something more dangerous. She lived in Unit 3B. No kids. No boyfriend, not anymore. The only sounds coming out of that apartment were late-night TV and muffled crying on Wednesdays. I knocked one evening. She didn't answer right away. When she finally opened the door, she had one sock on and a cheap candle burning in the background. "Hey," I said, not unkindly. "You know why I'm here?" She sighed. "Yeah. I do." She didn't make excuses. I respected that. "I can't make the full amount this week," she said. "But I can give you something." I watched her mouth as she said it. The way her words curved like they knew what else I was thinking. I didn't say anything for a beat too long. Then she added, "I mean, like, I could clean around the building, help with other units." That wasn't what I heard at first. But the seed was planted. "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe there's another kind of arrangement." She raised her brow. "What kind of arrangement?" That's when I saw it, not shock. Not offense. Just calculation. Like she was weighing how far she'd go to stay warm another month. I didn't press her. I said, "Come talk in my office tomorrow. Noon." She nodded slowly. "All right." The next day she came. Tight jeans. Crop top under a cardigan. Hair pulled back with zero effort but still making me think about things I shouldn't. I sat behind the desk. She stood. "You said something about another arrangement," she said, guarded but not leaving. "I'm not going to pretend this is standard." "It's not," I told her. "But I've waived rent for tenants before, usually older folks, single moms. If I do it for you, I need something back." She didn't blink. "Like what?" "Company," I said plainly. "Conversation. Dinners. And if we connect, more." She leaned back against the wall. Crossed her arms. "So you want me to be your, what? Sugar baby?" I gave a half smile. "Not if you hate the word." She didn't leave. She didn't say no. She just said, "I'll think about it." By the end of the week, she came by with Thai food and a hoodie that wasn't hers. Mine. That night, we didn't touch. We watched TV on my office couch. She fell asleep. I covered her legs. I told myself I was helping her. Giving her safety. A break. That's what I needed to believe. But the truth was murkier than that. Because I was starting to want her more than just on the couch. It started with takeout and long silences. It grew into shared drinks and confessions. And then, it became harder to pretend it was just about rent. Sierra was in my office again. This time wearing my old college hoodie and nothing else I could see beneath it. She liked to sit on the arm of the couch, legs curled, sipping from my glass like she belonged there. "I think your daughter was watching me yesterday," she said. That made me sit up. "Deja?" "Yeah. She was parked outside the building when I came down to take the trash out. Looked right at me. Didn't smile. Deja's 21. Smart, suspicious, and too observant for her own good. She's protective," I said. Sierra leaned in. "Protective of you, or just doesn't like seeing a broke tenant suddenly wearing your hoodie?" The way she said it, half joke, half test, made the air shift. I didn't answer. Instead, I stood and walked toward her. Her eyes didn't move. She wanted me to say something reckless. And I did. "You knew what you were doing when you wore it." She smirked. "And what are you doing now?" That was the first night she stayed over. The second night, she didn't leave my bed. By the third, I wasn't even pretending she was just a tenant anymore. But with every night of heat, the tension around us grew thicker. It was a Friday when Marcus showed up. Taller than me. Loud. Wearing cheap cologne and a leather jacket that screamed bad decisions. He stood at the bottom of the stairs, pounding on 3B's door like he still had a key. He didn't. "Yo! Sierra! I know you're in there," he shouted. "Why you duckin' me?" I stepped out of my unit. Calm, controlled. "She ain't interested," I said. He turned and looked me up and down. "You the landlord?" "Yeah." He laughed. "Figures. So you the one she layin' up with now? That rent must be high as hell." I didn't flinch. But inside, something ugly twisted. Not because he was wrong, but because he said it out loud. Sierra opened her door. "Marcus, leave. Now." But Marcus wasn't finished. "This how you move now? Trading bills for backs?" I stepped in between. "You got 5 seconds to get off this property." He spat near my foot. "Enjoy the leftovers, old man." He walked off. Sierra went inside without a word. That night, she didn't come to my unit. I didn't see her all weekend. I told myself it was fine, that it wasn't supposed to mean anything anyway. But I knew better. By Sunday night, I knocked on 3B. She answered, face bare, eyes tired. She stepped aside. "I don't like him knowing where you live," I said. "Neither do I," she whispered. I noticed a bruise on her arm. Small, fading. But it made my stomach burn. "You let him touch you again?" Her silence was answer enough. I stepped closer. "You don't owe him. You don't owe me either. You can leave this whole mess if you want." But she shook her head. "I don't want to leave, not yet." And then she kissed me. Desperate. Like trying to forget something fast. I kissed her back. And this time, we didn't stop. The next morning, my daughter was in my kitchen before I finished my coffee. She didn't waste time. "Is she sleeping with you?" I blinked. "Deja. Don't lie. I saw her leave. I saw her walk out of your room, barefoot, wearing your damn shirt." I set the mug down. "You don't understand." "No, Dad. You don't understand. You're not rescuing her. You're using her. You're just dressing it up with leftovers from your conscience." I felt every word like a slap. She wasn't wrong. But she didn't know the whole story either. "She's not some trick," I said. "She's complicated." "So are you," Deja said. But you're still the one with the key. She stormed out. The week after Deja confronted me, everything started to unravel, but not all at once. That's the thing about bad decisions. They don't fall like bricks. They leak. Quiet, steady, until your whole floor is soaked and rotten. Sierra hadn't said much. We still saw each other at night. Still touched, still talked. But she was pulling back, and not in a way I could fix with rent or wine. One night, after we'd been quiet too long, I asked, "What's on your mind?" She looked at me and said something I wasn't ready for. "I used to do this for money. Not like this, but close enough." I sat up. "You mean?" She didn't flinch. "I'm not proud. But I needed to eat. Needed to stay warm. Sometimes it was a couch. Sometimes it was just a few bucks. But it wasn't about pleasure. It was survival." I breathed slowly. Tried not to let my shame crawl across my face. "I'm not him, Sierra," I said. "I know. That's why I stayed." Then she added, almost to herself, "But I don't know what staying means anymore." Clara lived in 2A. Single mom, nosy, always watching from her window like she ran surveillance for the building. She caught me coming out of Sierra's unit one morning and gave me that look, the kind women give when they've already added it all up. "You might want to be careful," she said, leaning on her doorframe. "Careful's my middle name." She laughed. "Not when your tenants start getting bold. That girl in 3B? I've seen her walk out with bags. New hair. You waiving rent for favors now, Mr. Pierce? Watch your mouth." She smiled too sweet. "Don't worry, I won't call the board. But others might. People talk when they feel like rules ain't rules for everyone." I nodded, slow and calm. "And what do you want, Clara?" She shrugged. "Nothing. Yet. Just sayin', keep your business quiet. Or clean." That was the problem, nothing about this felt clean anymore. Saturday night, I heard the commotion from my second-floor window. Yelling. Screeching tires. I opened the blinds and saw Marcus outside again, but this time with another man. He had a backpack slung over his shoulder and a look that didn't care about consequences. I was down the stairs in seconds. "Hey!" I barked. "You don't belong here." Sierra had already opened her door. She looked terrified. Marcus stepped forward, palms up. "Chill, man. I just came to drop something off." "What's in the bag?" "None of your business, landlord." "You got a lease or a badge?" The other guy stayed silent, hand tucked into his coat. Sierra stepped between us. "It's fine. Just go." "Not until I see what he's carrying," I said. The other guy smirked. "You sure you want to do this?" He opened the bag and let me peek, bundles of pills in sandwich baggies. Prescription labels peeled off. Street gold. My jaw clenched. "Get the hell out of here." Marcus turned to Sierra. "You said you were broke. Could have had easy money again. But now you too good for all that, huh?" She whispered, "Just leave, Marcus. Please." And they did. But what they left behind was worse. That night, Sierra showed up at my place shaking. I made her tea. She didn't drink it. Just stared at the steam like it was saying something she couldn't. "I didn't know he'd bring that stuff here," she said. "I didn't ask him." "I believe you. But you shouldn't." She pulled her knees up on the couch and hid her face. "I keep thinking I've outrun it," she whispered. "But it always finds me again." I sat beside her, unsure if she wanted comfort or distance. "Maybe we both just like broken things," I said softly. She looked up. "Then what are we doing?" I reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I think we're trying to feel whole. Even if it's just for a night. We kissed again, but this time slower. Like two people trying to apologize without words. And when we moved to the bedroom, it wasn't just heat. It was confession. It was need. The next morning, a folded letter was taped to my office door. To the property owner of 1727 Grove Street. Be advised that multiple tenants have raised concerns regarding your relationship with a resident, Unit 3B. If true, this constitutes a violation of the ethics outlined in your rental management contract. Further investigation is underway. City Housing Compliance Office. I stared at the letter for a long time. And I realized, this wasn't just risky anymore. It was a fire. And it was about to spread. The letter stayed taped to my office door all day. By afternoon, Clara just happened to be walking her trash down when I passed through the hallway. "I warned you," she said with a smug little shrug. I didn't answer. My mouth was a locked gate and every thought behind it wanted to burn the place down. When I got upstairs, Sierra's door was cracked. She hadn't locked it, something she always did since the Marcus incident. I stepped in slowly. She was sitting on the edge of her bed, a packed duffel bag beside her. Her eyes were red. "You leaving?" I asked. She didn't look up. "I think I should." I closed the door behind me. "They'll think it's guilt if you do." "They already think it. I can handle the letter. I've been through worse." She finally met my eyes. "It's not about the letter, Malcolm. It's everything. I shouldn't be this close to a man like you. A landlord. A decent man. You think I'm decent?" She stood. "That's the worst part. You're too decent for what we've done." 2 days later, Officer Neely knocked on my door. She wore a city badge and a face that had seen every story twice. "I'm here about a complaint," she said coolly. "Of course," I said. "Come in." She sat, opened a leather folder, and took notes like every sentence was a trap. "Mr. Pierce, I have statements from 2 tenants who say they've witnessed repeated overnight visits from a resident of Unit 3B to your apartment. Is that accurate?" "I don't log who visits me." She smiled slightly. "You're a landlord. You log everything." "Touché. And there's also mention of unpaid rent being waived. Would that be related to this tenant's visits?" "I've given breaks to struggling tenants before. Sierra's not the only one. But she's the only one who sleeps here." My silence gave me away. Neely sighed. "Look. I'm not here to crucify anyone. But if this goes up the chain, it could get ugly, for both of you. Especially if there's any record of her past being tied to solicitation." I flinched. "There's not." "Are you sure?" "No. I wasn't." That night, Sierra came to my apartment. I told her about Neely. She didn't blink. Just sat down and unzipped the duffel bag she'd packed days earlier. "I didn't want to show you this," she said, pulling out a folder. Inside were arrest records, 2 charges, 1 dropped, 1 sealed. Both from when she was 19. "Why now?" I asked. "Because I'd rather you see it from me than from some city officer with a chip on her shoulder." I closed the folder slowly. "You told me it was just couch hopping." She looked down. That was the nice version. I could hear my heartbeat. The weight of what we were in was no longer just risky, it was criminal if spun the wrong way. And we were both standing at the edge of a cliff. "I should tell them you're moving out," I said. "Are you asking me to?" "I'm trying to keep you safe." She came closer. Her voice dropped. "Then say it out loud. Say you don't want me here." I couldn't. Because I did. Because I needed her in a way that scared me. Instead, I kissed her, not like a man kissing a woman, but like a man begging for one more moment before the world exploded. The next morning, I woke up to shouting downstairs. "Clara!" I opened the window and leaned out. "You can't hide behind your job, Mr. Pierce," she yelled from the sidewalk, waving a letter in her hand. "I've seen the men she brings in. You think we all don't know who she was? You protecting her doesn't make you holy." People peeked out of their blinds. The mailman turned around early. Sierra came out of her apartment, hair uncombed, eyes wide. "Go inside," I told her. "Now." She froze, then nodded and shut her door. I walked down to Clara, calm and slow, like I'd done with 100 tenants before. "You done?" I asked. "No. But you are." She handed me a new envelope. Her formal complaint. With her signature. And copies sent to 3 agencies. "Hope she was worth it," she muttered, walking away. I stood there, alone on the sidewalk, knowing the fire had just been given oxygen. Later that night, I stood at Sierra's door. She opened it slowly. I didn't speak. I just reached for her hand and placed keys in her palm. "What's this?" she whispered. "A studio I own 2 blocks over. Nobody knows about it. Empty, clean, paid through the year." She stared at me. "You're moving me out?" "I'm trying to protect you." She shook her head. "You're trying to end this." "No. I'm trying to save something before it gets destroyed." Tears filled her eyes. "We already are destroyed." And then she kissed me. Fierce. Desperate. Like she didn't care if it burned us both. I kissed her back, because I still believed in us, even if I knew better. But when she pulled away, she said the one thing that hollowed me out. "You can protect my body, Malcolm. But you were the first person I thought would protect my soul." And then she closed the door. They didn't send a warning. Just a certified envelope with a red stamp and a 2-sentence judgment. Violation confirmed. Tenant relocation required. Further infractions will result in license suspension. I read it 3 times, alone at my kitchen table. The radiator buzzed like it knew something was ending. Sierra had already left the building. Took only what she needed. She hadn't used the studio I offered. Instead, she vanished. I called. No answer. Texted. Nothing. It felt like losing a fire you didn't know was keeping you alive. A week later, Clara was all smiles again. Dressed a little nicer. Hair styled. Polite hellos in the hallway like nothing happened. But I noticed the man coming around. Slick suit. Bluetooth in one ear. Clipboard in hand. Turns out, Clara hadn't just filed a complaint. She'd sold her unit rights to a private real estate group. They were exploring opportunities in the building now, and Clara was their eyes. I wasn't just a target because of Sierra. I was in the way. I confronted her in the laundry room. "You did all this for a payout?" She folded a towel slowly, almost smug. "I did what was smart. And I don't lose sleep over grown men letting girls ruin their lives." "She didn't ruin anything," I snapped. "I let her in. I chose this." "Then you're worse than I thought." It was past midnight when someone buzzed the door and didn't stop. I opened it, and there he was. Marcus. Standing like a ghost with a smirk and whiskey on his breath. "You gave her keys, huh?" I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "She's not here." "No. But you are. You really thought you could fix her? You think love cures trauma?" I didn't answer. He laughed bitterly. "She was always broken, man. That's why she needs people like us. People who don't ask too many questions. I clenched my fists. You hurt her. She let me. Then he stepped closer. But you? You believed her. That's worse. I punched him. Not because I thought it'd fix anything. Just because some lies sound truer when they're bleeding. I started writing Sierra letters. Not emails. Not texts. Real letters. Told her about Marcus showing up. About the new company sniffing around the building. About the silence in the hallways that used to feel alive when she laughed upstairs. I didn't know if she'd ever read them. But I needed to say the things I hadn't when she stood in front of me. You weren't my mistake. You were my mirror. And I wish I'd loved you louder. 6 months later. The building sold. New paint. New